All right, let's just jump right in. So, flying in 2025, it's a whole new ballgame. There's this new set of, let's call them unwritten rules, and they are catching everybody off guard, even people who fly all the time. Seriously, things you packed without a second thought last year are now the very things causing huge delays and getting confiscated. I know, it's a crazy question to ask, right? But you really have to, because what sailed right through security last year could absolutely get you pulled aside for a full, time-consuming bag search today. So what is going on here? Well, while we've all been packing the same way we always do, airlines and the TSA have been quietly, almost secretly, outlawing a handful of super common items. And they're not exactly shouting these changes from the rooftops, which is why so many of us are getting blindsided. In this explainer, we're going to count down the top 9 surprise bans you absolutely need to know about before your next trip. Okay, let's kick off our countdown. We're going to start with the items that seem totally fine, completely harmless, but are now causing some of the biggest headaches and delays at the security checkpoint. Kicking things off at number 9 is something a lot of us carry to stay hydrated, especially on a long travel day: the smart water bottle. And here's the crazy part. It's not even about the water, it's the tech inside the bottle. You know, the ones that sync to your phone with Bluetooth or have those little temperature sensors or a wireless charging pad. Well, they've got batteries and wiring packed inside. And those things are setting off the new, much more sensitive airport scanners. Just imagine this. One traveler in Atlanta had their $80 bottle grind the entire security line to a halt, all because of a tiny lithium cell in the base. So the pro tip here is super simple. If your bottle connects to an app or has a charging port, just leave it at home and bring a regular, non-electronic one instead. All right, next up at number 8. This one's a big one for anyone who travels for work, and it's all about protecting your data. Okay, so this one's a little different. This isn't the TSA we're talking about. This is an international rule that can land you in some serious hot water. As cyber threats get more intense, countries like China and Russia have put really strict laws on any kind of encrypted digital storage. Think about this. A journalist flying into Beijing had his encrypted hard drive seized at the border. They wouldn't even let him into the country until the drive was completely wiped, and his airline never said a word about it. So the key takeaway is vital. If you're flying internationally, just use the cloud for your files, or at the very least, you have to check the digital import laws for every single country on your itinerary, and that includes layovers. Okay, on to number 7. And this one's gonna affect millions of us who travel with vitamins, supplements, or any kind of pills. Wow, this quote right here really just says it all, doesn't it? The problem isn't what the supplements are, it's all about how they look to the security scanners. Some things, like St. John's wort, can actually be restricted in certain countries. But the real issue now is that the TSA is flagging any pills that aren't in their original bottle. So if you use one of those weekly pill organizers or just throw them in a Ziploc bag, they could be treated as suspicious, even if they're perfectly legal. The absolute best way to avoid this is to just keep them in their original, sealed, clearly labeled bottles. All right, coming in at number 6, we've got a whole category of stuff that has suddenly, and kind of weirdly, expanded to include some of your favorite beauty gadgets. You know, we all kind of know that CO2 cartridges, like for a life vest, need special approval to fly. But get this, that rule now covers so much more. We're talking facial misters, some travel razors, even those little accessories for portable soda machines. A traveler at JFK actually had her expensive skincare device taken away because it had a little gas capsule inside that you couldn't remove. So here's the simple rule to live by. If you have anything that uses compressed gas or is pressurized, you need to tell a security agent about it before you send it through the scanner. All right, we're at the halfway mark. Number 5. And this is a rule that catches pretty much everyone, from gym goers and parents with baby formula to even foodies traveling with their favorite spices. So for years, we've all been obsessed with the liquids rule, right? Well, guess what? It's not just about liquids anymore. The TSA has quietly started cracking down on any powder that's over 12 ounces. That's about the size of a can of soda. If your powder is in an unmarked bag or some random container, security agents might just treat it as a potential threat. We're hearing these crazy stories of a fitness buff's protein powder getting tossed, and even a grandmother's special homemade spice blend being confiscated. The only safe bet is to keep powders in their original, sealed packaging. And if you have it, bring the receipt. It's your best proof. All right, so we've gotten through the everyday stuff that'll cause you a headache. Now we're getting into the big leagues. We're moving into the top 4, the bans that carry way more serious consequences, from big fines to, in one case we'll talk about, even being detained. Kicking off the top half of our list at number 4 is a piece of tech that honestly millions of us bought specifically for peace of mind when traveling. AirTag users, you're gonna wanna listen to this. The rule here is a little tricky. So here's the deal. In your carry-on, you're usually good to go. But in your checked bag, that's where it gets complicated. Some major international airlines, we're talking Lufthansa and Korean Air, have actually banned them from checked luggage. And the reason is that the tracker's constant signal could possibly interfere with the plane's systems. The TSA is still looking into this, so the rules can literally change from one airline to the next. Bottom line, always check your specific airline's policy before you throw a tracker in a bag you're planning to check. Coming in hot at number 3. This is something so simple, a packing habit so many of us have, that's now causing some of the worst delays at security. And honestly, this is the perfect example of how one little piece of new technology can completely change the game. You can still bring your homemade snacks, no problem there. The issue is wrapping them in aluminum foil. The TSA's new upgraded scanners are amazing, but they have one weakness. They can't see through foil. So the machine flags your sandwich as this big, mysterious object, and that means a mandatory hands-on bag search. One mom flying out of Denver said she was held up for 30 minutes just because of a couple of foil-wrapped sandwiches. The fix is so easy. Just use clear plastic wrap or see-through container. Let them see what it is, and you'll be fine. All right, we're at number 2, the runner-up for the most surprising ban of 2025. And this one targets a very specific type of a super common travel item. Okay, let's be super clear on this one. This is not a ban on vaping. It's all about something much more serious: fire safety. The FAA has figured out that certain disposable vapes, especially a lot of the imported ones, have unregulated lithium batteries inside. And those batteries have a serious risk of overheating and catching fire. The security scanners can now actually flag these specific models automatically. We heard about a traveler at LAX who had their vape confiscated, not because of what was in it, but because the battery inside was on an FAA blacklist. The only way to be sure is to stick with well-known, approved brands. All right, this is it, the moment we've been waiting for. The number 1 most surprising and, frankly, the most dangerous travel ban for 2025. I'm not kidding. This is the one that could actually get you arrested. Common everyday allergy and cold medicines, stuff like Sudafed or even Benadryl, are classified as controlled substances in some countries, like Japan and the UAE. One traveler who was just passing through Dubai on a layover was briefly detained just for having allergy pills that you can buy in any pharmacy here in the US. The TSA isn't going to stop you from leaving with them, but the moment you land, it's a different story. International Border Control will stop you. You have to check the medication laws for every single country you plan to visit or even just pass through. And always carry a doctor's note. Okay, before we get to the recap, I want to let you in on a little insider secret, a principle that explains why so many of these things are happening. It's something called scanner uncertainty. Basically, if the new AI-powered scanner can't figure out what an item is in a split second, it flags it. And for a busy agent, it's often just easier to confiscate the weird-looking thing than to hold up the line and figure it out. We heard about a woman in Seattle who lost a perfectly legal travel fan, all because it had a blinking light the scanner's AI didn't recognize. The lesson here: unfamiliar packaging and off-brand gadgets are always a gamble. So after all that, what's the game plan? How do you actually fly smart now? Well, it really boils down to this simple 4-step check. First, always use the TSA's official What Can I Bring tool on their website. It's your best friend. Second, if you're going abroad, check with your airline and look up the IATA, the International Air Transportation Association guide. Third, and this is a big one, keep everything you can in its original sealed, labeled packaging. And finally, the golden rule of travel: when in doubt, just leave it out. It's not worth the risk. Now I gotta know, which of these rules shocked you the most? Have you been caught by a new rule we didn't mention? Share your story in the comments below. You could seriously help another traveler avoid the same mess.